Hello, and today we're going to be looking at spell check. Did you know that InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator all have spell check capabilities? Today we're going to look at all three and how they're similar, but yet also a little bit different between each software. So to begin with, let's look at InDesign. In InDesign, the way that you're going to get to the spell check feature is going to edit, spelling, check spelling. It'll highlight and notate the word that it thinks is spelled incorrectly with suggestions. You can skip that, ignore all times that that word appears, add it to your dictionary, or go ahead and select a new one. It'll go ahead and just work through the document as you can make your selection. And one of the things that's unique within InDesign's spell check is it's also going to be looking for capitalization errors. So in this situation, this word is at the beginning of a sentence, it thinks. So it wants to capitalize it to a capital W. However, with this design, that's not what I want to do, so I'm going to skip it. Same thing here with the, we'll skip it. Another thing that it will do is you can zoom in if you want to see what the word is that we're looking at. And that's really helpful if you have a lot of text and you want to see why is it suggesting that this word needs to be capitalized or misspelled or whatever the case may be. And here's an example of a word that it thinks is misspelled because it doesn't have it in its dictionary. But if it's something that I'm going to be using often, I can go ahead and add this to my dictionary, and then it won't ever think that that is an incorrect word. And there we are, and we're done. All right, next we're moving on to Photoshop. So the same way you find this is through the Edit tab and then down to check spelling. One of the things you'll notice within Photoshop is it has a box here to check all layers. I would highly suggest keeping that checked. Otherwise, you're going to need to highlight specific layers and check those individually. Doing it this way will check your entire document for any spelling errors. As you can see, looks very similar to InDesign with suggestions that it wants to give you. However, one of the disadvantages with Photoshop is you cannot zoom in closely to the word that it's highlighting. Another thing that Photoshop does not do that InDesign does is it doesn't check for those capitalization errors. So with the learn on a second line here, it didn't catch that perhaps that should be capital. All right, so for this one, it's highlighting the word plus the exclamation point. So I don't want to lose my exclamation point, so I'll just go ahead and type in the whole word that I want, including that, and change. All right, and there you go. All right, and lastly, we're going to be looking at Illustrator. This has a lot of more similarities to InDesign. First of all, you're going to go to Edit and then Spelling, check spelling. So very, very similar path to InDesign. You can also do Command-I for that shortcut, which is the same one as InDesign. A unique thing with Illustrator is first you're going to click Start to begin the spell check. And then also Illustrator will pull like the whole line of text that's unique to it. And it also does what InDesign does, which is identifies capitalization errors. So although I have a setting on here of all caps in my character styles, it actually can tell that not only is it misspelled, but the capitalization is off. So I'm going to go ahead and select the word that I want to change. It went ahead and kept all caps because this was a setting. But again, it can see that down here that technically the A was not capitalized. It's just captured within all caps. So I'll change that as well. Change. And then correct that spelling error as well. And then obviously similar features to where you can ignore all if it's a word that appears often. You could change all if it's a word that appears often, or you can add it to your dictionary. So we'll go ahead and there, change, and then we're done. And there you go. That's your quick tutorial on spell check and all three Adobe softwares of InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator. If you have any questions about spell check, go ahead and drop a comment below. Thanks.